Welcome to the Happiness 1111 channel, where we are committed to happiness, connectedness, and being you authentically and unapologetically. So, this week's video is actually going to be a follow up from last week's, where we were talking about embracing all of your emotions in addition to happiness, really wanting to clarify what it's like to be happy and still have a good foundation of embracing your other emotions. So, what we're going to do is talk about stress and anxiety specifically. That is something that, in my experience, I've dealt with personally. That's something that I've dealt with so much in my friend circle, family circle, professionally. Just seems like it's a very common emotion that we all deal with, even when you're on the spiritual path. And before I get into it, Life, is there anything you want to comment on, or do you want me just to keep rolling?
Keep rolling. I got your back.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, from personal experience, what I will say is it's interesting that I've labeled myself as happy pretty consistently from childhood. And while that's the case, I'd never wanted to label myself as stressed or anxious, but I would receive that feedback from other people, or people would say, they would call me optimistic, they would call me happy, give me all those compliments, but they would often say like, well, Vanessa, being around you also kind of stressful because your energy is, it's optimistic, it's happy, but it's also just intense. So with that being said, stress and anxiety is coming from, well, let's talk about anxiety specifically, because stress is just a lower level of anxiety, and anxiety is basically stress to the third degree.
Overload.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So to break it down, I have a psychologist friend who broke this down for me, and it helped me so much. She basically said happiness, so performing high on an emotional level or performing high on an athletic or a physical level comes from being present. Being stressed and anxious and depressed and also not performing physically. She was giving me the example of like athletes and what they have to do to perform really well. So she told me that we're in the present moment and we're in tune with that moment, then that's when we have access to our happiness and peace. And that's when we have access to like higher athletic abilities or just being able to perform and use our body for what it's here. On the flip side of that, when you are too focused on the past or when you're too focused on the future, that's when you're going to have a little bit of stress and anxiety. And that's when the emotional state can also impact the body. That's when the body, as a, basketball player or as a runner or whatever, if you're too much in your past or in the future, that's when literally your body starts to function different because you're not in that present moment. Mm-hmm. So that really helped me. And that made me realize, wow, I'm such a happy person, but yeah, I can still be, I'm still dealing with stress and anxiety because I'm not present. I'm overanalyzing my past, or I'm trying to control the future so much that I'm not even here in the moment. And that's what was creating some resistance between my happiness and my peace of mind. I think I'm going to pause there. I'm not sure if anything is coming up for you, Life, like a question, or I actually want to ask you, does that even seem clear? Did that come out clear for you?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Definitely.
Okay. So that's where the personal experience is coming from. It's interesting that a lot of times we want to polarize things and say, well, if I'm happy, that means I don't have stress or anxiety or those other emotions. No, we are spiritual beings on this human journey. And so on this human journey, our emotions, other than happiness, are here for a reason, and they're here to teach us. And so in addition to the knowledge, because what I just talked about, the foundation of, being present in that moment, in addition to that knowledge, there is a physical part that my psychologist friend taught me. So she taught me about the emotional piece, about being present, and that leads to a higher performance with your emotions and also higher performance with your physical body. And then she also told me the physical component. So what can we do physically to actually literally be present and to actually literally enhance our performance? And the one thing that she mentioned that is so powerful that people talk about all the time is breath. That's all it is. So when you're breathing with intention, then you're basically literally, I want to say parasympathetic. Let me not even get into the technical terms. I'm going past technical terms. Yeah. So basically, yeah, when you're breathing, you are literally cutting on and off a certain system in your body. One that releases stress hormones or one that releases the relaxation, happiness hormones. That's what your breath is doing. That's why it's so powerful on an emotional level. Similarly, when you are breathing with intention, that is when you are clicking on, performance mode for your body. Okay. So swimmers, runners, all these different people who are using their body for physical reasons, if they're not breathing appropriately, they literally cannot perform to their maximum ability. So when it comes to living a happy life, I just want people to know it doesn't mean I'm not over here, smiling all the time, although I'm smiling most of the time, even in very stressful situations. I've learned to be pretty consistently happy and genuinely happy, but I have not always been that way. And I want people to know that what I try to encourage people to look at it as far as tracking your progress, are you happier more of the time? And are you stressed and anxious less of the time? That is just a great way to measure it, to not put too much pressure on yourself, to feel happy and to be like other people. And no, just measure. We all have a different starting point, and just look at your past and see, are you making progress towards, having a higher percentage of happiness is what I'll say.
Yeah. And it definitely is the same for people, let's say in a corporate setting. Some years ago, when I was working for a corporate office, I had a whole anxiety attack at work, and I couldn't breathe. I just suddenly felt like I could not breathe. And I, of course, I went to the hospital, and they said I had an anxiety attack. And I was like, anxiety attack? I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm flourishing, but I was under a lot of stress at that time and to perform at my job. And I didn't feel stressed out, but obviously I was on the back end. And that's where you're talking about how your body can react to things and react to stressors that you may not even be aware of in your conscious mind, but subconsciously you are very under a lot of stress. And so I had that happen some years ago. And another thing I can add to what your friend has told you is something I've learned more recently is just to keep checking for how you literally feel in your body.
Yes.
That is a good way to keep you in this present moment. So just as I'm sitting here, I'm practicing feeling the tingle in my hands or the rumble in my tummy or the feelings in my feet. And you keep checking with yourself and just feel alive. Remember that this body is alive, and it just is a good way, besides the breath. Of course, the breath is probably number one, but it's just a good way to keep checking with yourself to make sure that you're staying in this present moment.
Yeah, that is a great one. The body part is phenomenal because the body is teaching us so much. I want to say so much, but that's a whole nother video. What I will say for me, stress and anxiety manifest specifically in my neck and my shoulders. So no matter how happy I say I am, unless I slept on my back wrong, or unless I was like, in the car or in a certain position for a long time, if there isn't a logical reason for it, when my neck and my back start to hurt, I know, okay, Vanessa, you were triggered by something is stressing you out. Last couple of times it happened, I got some bad news about a family member it was a while ago, actually, now that I look at the calendar, it was maybe back in December. And within a week, my back and my neck, and it seemed like it came out of nowhere. But if I really think about it, within a couple of days of getting that phone call, there went my neck and my back. So your body is speaking to you, So I will say, I feel complete for now on this topic. Life, is there anything else that you're wanting to add?
No, I think we pretty much summed it up.
Okay, awesome. Well, I hope you all are enjoying this and appreciating the fact that we are being vulnerable and being honest. A lot of, social media influencer or people who have to be present in front of people mean well when it comes to putting on a front or whatever. But what we're really trying to do is be authentic and be honest about what this journey looks like. And if you have any questions, me and life are pretty open, So that's what we're here for. We're here to be open. We're here to be honest. And so comment down with your questions, with what your journey is looking like right now. And we just want to say thank you. Thank you for participating in this community. It's definitely a community, and we want to hear from you, and we want you all to feel comfortable with engaging with us. And Next week will be about happiness and sadness. So I'll be coming with some personal experience about how you can still be happy and still experience sadness as well. I think that's it.
Have a happy life.
Have a happy life. See you next time.